Let's move to talk about a joint bioeconomy strategy for the Alpine Space. This is something we already in some ways discussed or has been introduced this morning by Christian Paterman, but we want to go deeper with Professor Ralf Kindervater, who's CEO of BioPro and honorary professor at the Faculty of Chemical Engineering at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology and member of the German Bioeconomy Council, the Council on Sustainable Bioeconomy of Baden-Württemberg. Please, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cabrini. Dear project partners, dear colleagues, dear friends, and dear participants to this conference, it's a big pleasure for me to introduce you into the Work Package 4 policy development. First of all, after all the achievements you have seen within the AlpLinkBioEco project, for me, just looking on a sort of an AVAX view from up down to the Alpine Space, all these successful achievements, nevertheless, this was like playing in a sandbox of bioeconomy development in the Alpine Space. But what we have to acknowledge is that now, after having finished AlpLinkBioEco project, the work really begins now, like Christian Paterman has said, and all those work that has been done now has to be brought to a much wider level. Because if you imagine, and on the German scale and also on the Baden-Württemberg and Bavarian scale, now a big process of transformation has to start to not just to do one transformation of one value chain or one aspect in bringing companies together with biolinks, but we have to transform the whole economy in Europe in terms of this process, and therefore the value chain generator is just coming in time to do this really challenging process. Now, let me give you my slides. I hope everybody can see.
Yeah.
Now, beside this very
we can see
emotional...
it now.
Thank you, Christian. Beside the very busy work with the value chain generator, of course, in AlpLinkBioEco, a lot of work was done in terms of policy development, analysis of regional policies, the common policy dialogue, and the development of a joint master plan to give the view into the future work we would like to do. Next slide. Because we think we need a strategy, our ambition is to what extent are the Alpine regions ready for a joint strategy on bioeconomy? Christian has said that interlinking things is very important, and therefore we have developed the 3 cornerstones of the master plan. It is unleashing the potential, turning regional assets that we could see into macro-regional opportunities where the value chain generator can be of great help. We have to strengthen macro-regional identity. So where do all these innovators come from? And also a good goal for the value chain generator, empowering digitalization for a resilient value-based, bio-based value chains. Next slide, please. We have already done analysis in terms of what benefits and opportunities have been done. And so those 2 reports which have been produced shows us that we have a sufficient amount of biomass up and running. We have a substantial critical mass of stakeholders in place in the Alpine regions to interconnect and to sort of sum them up in value chains and value systems. We have regional strategies and policies in place which have been analyzed in AlpLinkBioEco. And we are currently at a really nice spot in time where a new batch of smart specialization strategies and the operation programs 21 to 27 are being started acting as institutional instruments for a better alignment in the EU's help. Next slide, please. But there's still work to do. We could see that the wood sector and the agricultural sector have been nicely exploited in the Alpine space, but there are still opportunities where, due to the help of the value chain generator, first hints could be gained, like packaging sector for food and pharma, and the chemistry sector just in the session before. But there, if you look to the total economic system of Alpine space and Europe in total, there are so many more opportunities, and the big challenge is, as I said at the beginning, to do this transformational process. Next slide. But where's the momentum? Currently, more than 16 million euros have been invested since 2016 in projects that foster cross-regional cooperation in the domains of bioeconomy and digitalization. And we have projects like AlpGov2, ArdiaNet, and ARING already on the stage, working towards a multi-level governance. So isn't that enough? Do we need a joint master plan on circular bioeconomy in the Alpine region? And I would say yes. Next switch, please. Let me see the yes. Next. Okay. So the master plan in a nutshell, we won't have the time to go through the details, but everybody who sees the final report, the master plan is included. We are proposing a 2 years roadmap to get really up and running with all those findings we've developed in AlpLinkBioEco. We have found out 4 fields of action and identified those fields of action to proceed working. We have already mentioned in the introductional round a community of drivers who really want to develop a bio-based economy in the Alpine space, with 9 Alpine regions, 14 partners, 20 observers, and more than 50 potential decision makers that are up and willing to continue work. There are 6 recommendations with proposed actions to overcome 4 main challenges, and 8 best practices in digitalization of bio-based value chains, just as a beginning, as a starting point, because the work which lies in front of us is so dramatic in workload to have this transformation up and running. Next slide, please. The 4 fields of action. First of all, developing and implementing regional and national bioeconomy strategies. And I would like to cope with Christian Partnerman's sort of invention of the morning. We have to develop the bioeconomy development goals for the Alpine space. Yeah, and this is meant with point E. Point B, prioritization of thematic areas for the macro-regional cooperation. Yeah, we have to cope. The workload is dramatic, but we have to stick to thematic areas. And we have to start a transnational dialogue resulting in dedicated actions. And what could be shown with the value chain generator, the digitalization potential for resilient bio-based value chains have to be exploited. Next slide. Because the way is there. Yeah? The sandbox has been developed, and now we need to roll it out. We have the Alpine Space community, and we have the OISALP activities with the Action Group 2. We have the AlpGov Alpine Space activities, and how can we get things managed? And therefore, in the work package 4, the development of a type of ambassadors and instigator group has been worked out, so that what has been told in the value chain generator presentation is that the turnover to get those ideas, to get those opportunities into the regions, into the individual companies, to become part of the big challenge becoming an actor in the Alpine Space bio-based economy. That's so important, and therefore the advice is to get ambassador system, instigator system up and running. Might be people working with the value chain generator to move into companies, to move into cluster community sessions to show what the big challenges, but also the opportunities that can be derived with bio-based economy in this very, very big transformation process. Next slide. The recommendations are an Alpine Space dialogue related to this common understanding of bioeconomy. And as I just said, taking the idea from Christian Patermann, development, Alpine Space, bioeconomy development goals in this topic. We have to identify those ambassador in instigator system to push the idea of the Alpine Space Joint Master Plan forward and bring it down to the road. Yeah, sort of coming from the highly intellectual level and bringing things down to each and everybody, inclusively the citizens of the Alpine Space. And as a common indicator work for harmonized data, an expert workshop, status quo of bioeconomy related data for the Alpine Space, and continues working on those data being carried together, included in value chain generator and used to develop those synergies. Next slide. Next recommendation, cross-regional support schemes. Christian Patermann in the chat has already mentioned the new European funding schemes in the next framework period. We need to initiate a common pilot funding scheme with selected front-runner Alpine regions that demonstrates feasibility and impact of cross-regional cooperation derived by this value chain generator BioLink system. We have to increase awareness of the interplay between regions and macro-regional approaches and provide incentives for regions that are interested to align, to coordinate their strategies within the OISALP actions. Next slide. The time frame we suggest out of work package 4 is already on the work, February to July 2021. Alpine Policy Forum already done, output AlpLinkBioEco already done together with this session today. We have to nominate, if accepted by everybody, this ambassador or instigator system to have road runners up and going to spread the idea of the bio-based bioeconomy in the Alpine Space. And we have to define milestones. Next milestones would be from September to December 2021 to align things with OISALP action groups and AlpGov to streamline through new operation procedures, 21 operation programs, 21 to 27, and probably use the currently running ARIANet project to establish counseling group for the Alpine Space. And next year, as we call it, after the embedding phase, the so-called accelerator phase in 2022, to have this bioeconomy development goals up and running as a common understanding of the bioeconomy to be developed in the Alpine Space, have data status quo workshops to continuously monitor activities with the value chain generator like show today, and to use ARIANet as a pilot funding scheme to give incentives to those activities and to embed regional policies like with AlpGov in the OISALP region. Okay, this should be my slides with some delay, not to find the right presentation for you. First experience by me. Normally it all worked with a good preparation. Thank you for your time and looking forward to your questions.
All right. Thank you again, Professor Kindervater. No problem with the slides at all. It was absolutely effective and terrific. So I've just got one question, which is how do you frame all of this and the future of this bioeconomy strategy plan inside what's happening in Europe? Do you think, as we said at the beginning, that given what's happening in the process of rethinking all of our economy for the future, and big, huge, massive European projects from the Green New Deal to Next Generation EU, is this a positive and constructive environment to make this process speed up versus, the velocity that it had so far?
I think, like Raffaele Cantaneo told it to us today, and the discussion also which Christian Patermann led. I think the Alpine region is a central cornerstone of or maybe a central cornerstone of European activities leading to a sustainable, bio-based, circular economy. Because, like the first slide from Michael Keller, who showed this nice mountains in Fribourg, we have a northern side, which might lead to all this northern European activity. We have a southern side, and as Michael Keller showed it, we can expand to Spain. We could also linking with Danube region into the eastern part of Europe, and therefore there are so many variants, more mountain-like regions, more flat regions with heavy agriculture. So we could be a sort of an example region for whole Europe to develop a bio-based economy with its large variety and so many aspects.
Yeah. Oh, Professor, thank you so much also for this. And to me, it makes sense also to coordinate all of these efforts with the national strategies, for example, for the internal area. That's something that Italy has been having and investing into since 2013. There's a second edition underway, and it's all about how to valorize and create new economy model in these kind of territories, including the Alpine region. So there's a lot of effort, there's a lot on the table. Also coordinating all of this could make sense looking at the future. Thanks again, Professor.